This week, before we start reading your shared read story, let's take a moment and talk about the comprehension strategy you'll be focusing on this week. Summarize. Summarizing is using your own words to tell the most important events and details in a selection. This can help you remember new information in a selection. Now, we're not going to find the text evidence at this point because we haven't actually read the story yet. So let's just transition over to the next side of the page here. Sequence. I'm looking right here. This is a comprehension skill you will be using. You'll actually be filling out like the graphic organizer below here to show the sequence of events. The sequence tells the order of ideas in a selection. We can use the words first, next, then, and last to tell the order of what happens. So now let's go back to the beginning of the story. We're going to read the text Cesar Chavez. Now the first time that we read this story, you should really be thinking about the characters in the story, the setting, the story elements. What's happening in the story? What is the story mostly about? Then what a good reader does is we'll go back and reread the selection to answer some of those questions you might have. Maybe you had a detail that you missed you want to go back and look for. You'll go back and listen to the text again or read the text again to fill in that sequencing graphic organizer. Remember, you're pulling that text evidence out of the story. Cesar Chavez, essential question, what do heroes do? Read about a man who took action to improve the lives of others. The genre is a biography. A biography is a story written about someone's life. Who are your heroes? For many farm workers, Cesar Chavez is a hero. He is the brave man who spent his life helping them. Childhood. Cesar Chavez was born in Arizona. His parents taught him about learning, hard work, and respect. Cesar worked on the family farm as a young boy. He helped care for the farm animals. His mother and grandmother taught Cesar about caring. Many people came to their door asking for food, and his kind family always shared. Cesar had a strong interest in education. This desire to learn was sometimes hard on him. Spanish was his first language, but he needed to learn and study English. At school, he was punished for speaking Spanish. His mother taught Cesar to find peaceful ways to solve problems. These lessons helped him succeed later in life. He would win struggles without fighting. Hard times. When Cesar was 10, it did not rain for a long time. This drought caused the plants on the farm to die. Without crops to sell, Cesar's family couldn't afford to keep the farm. Then Cesar's family moved to California, where there was no drought. His family traveled from farm to farm and worked the crops. Cesar and his family would quickly discover that migrant farm workers had difficult lives. Their challenging jobs forced them to work long hours for little money. The workers bent over all day tending the crops. The work they had to perform made their backs hurt and their fingers bleed. If workers complained, farm owners fired them. Changing lives. Cesar knew the migrant workers were not treated fairly, so he decided to take action. He told the migrant workers he had a plan. It was time for grapes to be harvested or picked. Cesar told the workers to stop working. This was called a strike. The grapes began to rot. With no grapes to sell, the landowners lost money. Finally, the owners talked to Cesar. They promised better pay. After that, the workers began picking the crops again. Cesar Chavez worked for the rest of his life to improve farm workers' lives. Would you agree that he is a hero? Now let's take a look down here at the corner of the text. This is called a timeline. A timeline has dates and puts things in the order in which they happened. Looking at this timeline, I can see the year 1920, and the year 2010 is where it ends. Now, in between, there are certain bullet points that talk about different events in his life. 1927. Cesar is born on March 21st. 1937. Chavez family moves to California. 1942. Cesar finishes 8th grade, begins full-time farm work. 1962. Started National Farm Workers Association. 1965. He convinces the workers to have a strike. 1991. Cesar gives speeches about treating workers fairly. 1993. Cesar helped farm workers until he dies on April 23rd. 1994. He wins the U.S. Medal of Freedom. Make connections. How do Cesar Chavez's actions make him a hero? Have you ever tried to help others?